I got a chance to interview the owner of Hytale, Simon, to get a better idea of what we can expect when early access launches, as just this week it was confirmed to cost $20 and will be available to pre-order very soon. There's been confirmation that usernames will be unique and that you will be able to reserve the name you want before launch, so I started by asking Simon, how will usernames work, and will there be any specific criteria or conditions for them? He said, you'll be able to reserve your username when you pre-order. It's first come, first serve. We keep the right to change names if someone impersonates a known person. We'll also lock a few obvious names to prevent sniping, but it shouldn't happen often. Current rules are that all usernames have to be at least 3 characters long, and the max length is 16 characters. No special characters are allowed, but numbers and underscores are okay. One thing we also spoke about, which Simon has now actually made public, is creator codes. He said, YouTubers and modders, I am pleased to announce that Hytale will have a supporter creator revenue share program. Your followers will be able to use your code so you receive a percentage of the sales of Hytale. The percentage will be low to begin with, but as we become more comfortable and recoup the acquisition costs, we will increase the percentage. Confirmed then that you can likely benefit from using code Kweebec, or whatever I end up locking in. I guess you'll get a small discount, which will be clarified closer to the time when you buy the game. Honestly, I just hope this helps support my main goals of growing a development team, creating mods and productions for the community, and even launching a server network. Funnily enough, Kweebecs are the faction we've seen the least of recently. I wanted to know more about how big a part they play in the game loop, so I asked, how much interaction will factions have on launch? Simon said, you'll see factions often in the world, but they won't interact much with each other at launch. Kweebecs and Trorcs will fight if they cross paths. Expect Trorc camps and patrols in Zone 1 with Kweebec villages nearby. It's great to hear that the world won't all just be static at first. I honestly can't wait to see my first Kweebec and Trorc fight. He didn't speak much on what level of interaction they'll have with us, the player, but the team has mentioned a reputation system before. Another thing we saw a lot of in the new gameplay was combat. I wanted Simon to elaborate on his vision for this. What's the most insane combat or movement trick shot you've seen in PvP so far? Simon said PvP hasn't actually been a big focus these past months. We mainly did quick passes to stop crashes, and yeah, it did crash at first. Combat was originally built with PvP in mind, so balance isn't a worry yet. Dagger versus dagger fights look awesome, backstab double damage, and the charge backflip hit make fights messy in a good way. I'm like, backflip? I do not think we've seen that yet, but that and the backstabs both sound like they'll make fighting a lot more dynamic, and like Simon said, pretty messy. The last thing in reference to the gameplay I was really curious about was the Orbis fragment and the ancient gateway portal that was shown right at the very end. I asked him if he can elaborate on the portal. Simon said, I don't want to spoil everything, but it uses our instance system to send players into unique experiences. He actually elaborated on this when he was asked about it by Big Dude. He said portals don't lead to dungeons, they lead to quote places tied to the Cursebreaker arc. We'll talk about it more closer to release. Then I asked Simon to provide a bit more scope on the whole modding and server side of things. I said, in the early days of public servers, what types of feats do you expect players to achieve? Simon answered, I can't wait to see the first duels or Skywars style minigames appear. Simple ideas land well. We tested those years ago and they were a blast. I then followed up, and long term, what is a feature you would like to see yourself? He said, I'd love to see a full MMORPG server go big with leveling, instances, dungeons, and large cooperative goals. Honestly, so would I. That genuinely sounds really exciting. It would be like the Windcraft of Hytale. Next, I really wanted to address the fact that he said with all of this, mini games, mods, and servers that players create, that he wants to take 0% from their earnings. Unlike most other games right now who take a significant split of revenue from their creators, taking no cut makes it much more feasible for creators to end up making a living from what they release on the platform. You pledged a 0% take from modders and servers. Any updates on how the player marketplace or ecosystem will work? Simon stated, yep, 0% for at least the first 2 years. I'll talk about it more soon. I'll also set a ceiling percentage that will never go over, so everything stays clear and nobody feels worried about sudden changes after 2 years. Our hope is to stay at 0% for a long while. We don't want to micromanage this bureaucracy and balloon it into a large company. Also, I wouldn't call it a marketplace, more like an in-game discovery page that shows all mods, free and paid. Our intent is simple. We don't want to be financially motivated to push the mods that make the most money. We want to highlight the ones with the best content. We also know modders and server owners need ways to earn money. We've lived that life. We'll give them stronger tools, better access, flexible rules for monetization, and more options over time. That being said, the goal isn't to become a store marketplace. It should feel like a catalog of cool things for players to browse and try. In the vision, very long term, modders would have profile pages and potentially have followers and so on. We don't want a menu packed with paid content and ads everywhere. Balance matters. It's a hard balance, but we can reach something that works well for everyone. We'll adjust over time and take feedback seriously. This ecosystem that Simon is describing fundamentally does sound very fair and will allow, like he said, the best creations to break through the noise. I hope this empowers any modders, map makers, or server hosts out there watching right now. Simon has also done a number of other exclusive interviews. I recommend you go check them all out, but I will do my best to summarize a few key points. From an interview with Big Dude, Simon confirmed that supporter and Cursebreaker pre-orders will not just provide a cosmetic at launch, but Simon also plans to provide these tiers with more cosmetics in the future. The sets that you will get on launch will, he said, be revealed when pre-orders go live, so you can look forward to that, especially if you've been on the fence about which package you're going to get. Instanced dungeons are confirmed to work in the game. They have a lot of prefab dungeon structures, items as well, but apparently full handcrafted dungeon runs aren't in yet. They are still trying to integrate things though. Adventure mode, for example, has 2 systems that they hope will really grow throughout early access, which Simon, by the way, claims they want to feel like an event. Adding on to that, when asked what Cursebreakers meant, which has been getting teased for a number of weeks now in the website code and even my own videos, we know it'll be the top supporter tier for $80, but what does it actually mean? Apparently, the Hytale is saved moment ties into the Cursebreakers story arc. According to Simon, this is what they're going to use to help blend the real story of the finished game and the current in-game situation, which is the incomplete early access. Essentially implying here that early access will have its own story logic for existing, kind of like a prologue, with a story that updates and evolves into the bigger picture. He also randomly confirmed a grappling hook, actually multiple versions of it, but I do recommend that you check Big Dude's interview for that and all the other details. There's also 5, count them, 5 new in-game screenshots that dropped. First up, the Hytale account said sinister rituals brew in the depths of Zone 3. What we see here is the NPC human faction of Outlanders undergoing a kind of ritual. This is the first time we actually see it in-game. This ritual is one we theorize causes mutations and the production of these huge Colossus beings. The Colossus here has this awesome skull battle axe if you notice, and you can even see an Outlander priest or shaman of some kind about to activate a spell book, likely intended to start the ritual itself. The next image shows a house interior. Simon did promise we would get some more cozy vibes. You can see the player has assembled some bamboo furniture, bookshelves, and there's an open window with a pie resting on the side. In the distance is also a tire, very nicely framed, again showing off not just how you can decorate a house here, but how you can frame the camera in-game. 3 new images then came from an interview Simon did with Elrich MC. This one here is a close-up of a mouse. Simon did confirm that they do still interact with cheese the same way we saw in this clip. Mobs apparently have a bunch of small quirks like this still. The next image showcases an undead spellcaster with charred bones and a fiery attire deep in Zone 4 with a dangerous looking fortress behind, as well as even further in the background you'll notice volcanic terrain. Honestly, I love that they're building up the forces of Zone 4 finally, revealing a bit more of this area to us. Then we get an image from the deserts of Zone 2 showing some of the configuration possibilities. Here a dog is riding a new tortoise-like creature that we've never actually seen before. Behind them is also a few ruined houses if you'll notice. Then to hit on some really important points from Elrich's interview with Simon, although I do recommend you go and watch the whole thing, he says they've got hundreds of design documents to get inspiration from now. He says that for those worried about how quick they seem to be going as well, it is because the game was worked on for years. They do technically have all the pieces there. First, they aim to fix everything that was promised in the trailer, and apparently Riot Games did actually let them remote access Hytale to start fixing it 3 months ago, so W Riot. Simon said no promises, but while they don't have any automation like Redstone specifically, he's confident people would make a mod like Create pretty quickly and he could then hire those people on if needed, or at the very least he could work in some NPC automation like them tending to your farm for you. He also confirmed that you can invite friends to join your world just like that, no firewall. They're also working on a friends list to support this. Potentially you may even be able to make a portal between you and your friend's world as well if you wanted. They are working on proximity chat, although it might not be ready when early access launches, and even a system that potentially allows you to to bring items to other people's worlds. Again, touching on that idea of crossing over physically through portals to get to those other worlds. An important note here also that Simon did confirm that monthly updates are probably going to be a thing with early access, so we're going to get a lot of content and iteration very early on. Thank you as always for watching. Check the video on screen if you want to see more Hytale content. Stay safe and keep free.